Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to 10 XCOM 2 mods I can't live without. I made a collection. You can follow the link down below if you just want to subscribe to all of them. Note, I haven't made any of these mods. These are just some of my favorites, and they don't change any of the gameplay. They just add extra stuff to the screen to give you more information and more convenience. A lot of these were collected thanks to some suggestions on Twitter. There's also a few others that a lot of people have recommended very highly, but these are the ones that I play with. Let's go through them one at a time, just to go through what they do. The free reload mod. If you have a character that has the ability to get a free reload, mostly because of weapon components, this will show up sort of as an ability on your character during combat, so you can see that you've got some and how many of them you have. You don't have to try to remember how many you have used so far, so that you know you haven't run out of your free reloads. That's it, just a little bit more information for you. Very handy. After actions, days wounded. So if you come back from a mission and you have someone wounded, normally you would have to skip past the mission return screen, then go into your barrack screen, your soldier list, and then see how long they were going to be out of action. This simply adds a little extra detail on the after mission screen right here that shows you how many days your characters are going to be out of action for. Next up, numeric health display. If you're like me and you're half blind, you're trying to read all these little ticks above a character's head to see how many hit points they're supposed to have, this mod will make your life a hell of a lot easier because it will actually show you in numbers exactly how many hit points something has, as well as armor and shields. It's also actually quite customizable. You can tweak things if you want to change the way that it gets displayed, but it's a really handy little extra tool. I find it just makes my life so much easier because I don't have to squint to try to read how many hit points something has. To me, that should actually be an option in XCOM 2. You should just be able to hit a checkbox to get a numeric ability there. Upgrade reminder, really handy. On your mission prep screen over here, when you're setting up your squad, there will be little symbols on the various character cards here to let you know that this character is eligible for something like a weapon upgrade module, or maybe a personal combat sim, something of that nature. It's to remind you that, hey, you want to go into this character and give them an upgrade because there is something available. Just make sure that you don't go into a mission without fully preparing. Really handy. Next up, show me the personnel. This is a handy little mod that just when you look at your list of soldiers over here will give you a breakdown of their stats on the screen, so you don't have to go and click through to see exactly how good their willpower is or various other stats. Just a little bit more information, really handy. Show enemies on mission planning screen. When you go and you prepare for a mission, on the initial mission setup screen, there's a little box that gives you information as to what enemies have been detected, what you can expect to face. So for example, in this little thing here, which might be hard to read, it says 9 enemies detected, Archon's Codex, etc. Now you get that info on the previous screen when you're setting up to a mission, but you don't normally get it on the mission where you're on the screen where you're setting up your squad. It's actually really quite helpful to have it here because it reminds you that, you know, you're going to be fighting a lot of stuff with heavy armor. Maybe you want to specialize toward this, or you're going to be fighting a codex. Make sure you've got a flashbang, that sort of thing. Really handy just to have a little bit more information on your squad layout or squad planning screen over here. Next up, perfect information. This just gives you a little bit more info on a various number of screens that give you a breakdown of some of the things that you're going to encounter. Just a minimal little things, gives you hit, crit, dodge percentage for XCOM and aliens and much more. And I believe it'll pop up, yeah, right here, when the shot fires, not only where it normally shows you how much damage you did, it'll also give you a breakdown of your chances to hit and crit at that time. I find this really handy when you're doing an Overwatch. Obviously, if you're doing a normal attack, you got that information before you actually pulled the trigger. But for an Overwatch, you don't normally get that information, and that gave you a breakdown to show you how likely you actually were to hit, for example, and it also gives you the information when someone shoots you. So you can confirm that, yeah, wow, I just took a bunch of damage, but you know what? The alien was only 20% to hit, so they got lucky. I like it a lot. Always show shot breakdown. Again, just expands your information right over here on the sides to give you a breakdown of all the stats involved in the combat. Again, just make sure that you have the information handy and saves you a little bit of clicking. Gotcha. This used to be called Flank Preview, and it's now just called Gotcha. What it does, when you move your character around the screen, a lot of people may not know this. Actually, I didn't know this until some people pointed out to me. When you're mousing over a square that you might move to, the game actually shows you a little targeting icon that shows you whether the position where you end up, whether you will be able to see the enemy, and vice versa. It's really helpful because every now and again you end up moving behind a wall and it turns out you don't have line of sight to the enemy and you can't even take a shot. So that's in the base game. What Gotcha does is it actually turns that little targeting reticule yellow if you're going to move into a position where you will flank. So for example, in this image over here, oh yeah, I can click on this to make this bigger. If it's showing you that if you were to move this character here to this position here, you would A, have line of sight over this character. Again, that is built into the base game, but it's also showing you that you will be flanking this character by highlighting it in yellow. It just makes something a little bit more clear. I mean, obviously, if you ended up here, you would get the icon that you are flanking. This just helps you remove a little bit of guesswork and is really incredibly handy, so that there's no second guessing what exactly is going to result in a flanked maneuver. And then show me the skills, the final mod on my list over here. When you are setting up your squad for a mission, it will show you what skills they have available. So again, it saves you from being able to, or from having to click through to your character to see exactly how upgraded they are and what each one of these, what skills you have selected. You can also mouse over all these, you'll get your tooltip, so you'll know exactly what skills your crew has going into the mission, which can be really handy because often you might want to pair what grenades or other utility items you are sending a character with, depending on what abilities they personally happen to have. So just again, all the mods, none of the mods change gameplay. They just provide you with a little bit more information that really you do know. It's not information hidden by the game in any way whatsoever. It just brings it up to the forefront and lets you make better decisions, slightly better. Anyway, I'm a big fan of this. If you do go and follow the link down below, it'll bring you to this this collection. I just call it the Quills UI buffs because I think it buffs the UI. And you can either hit the subscribe all button to follow them all, or you can do them individually. Again, I haven't made any one of these. You can see who made each one of these little mods. I think they're fantastic. TJ No made more than one, apparently. Free Reload, the Perfect Information. Did he make another? Nope, I don't know if any... Oh, no, 222 also made a couple of these mods. Look at that. Show me the personnel and show me the skills. Well, it makes sense, I suppose, with the way the name is. Both of those by the same person. I think they're fantastic. I think they're a great way to play the game, and I would not enjoy the game as much without these. If you got any more suggestions for the mods, please let me know down below. I'm especially a big fan for any mods that don't change gameplay and just give you more information or maybe save you a click. There are a couple more mods I don't run that you might be interested in. One, there is the Evac All. There we go, Evac All. A lot of people really like this one. Basically, you can get all of your crew inside of the evacuation point and then just hit the Evac All button and they will all evac simultaneously. I try to minimize how many mods I add just in case something breaks the game. And for me, I don't mind hitting evac and then, yes, there's a long animation for when they're evacing, but if you hit evac and then you just tab, it'll cut the animation short. And since I tend to move one character in evac, move the other character in evac, to me, the evac all button is not critical. That being said, what I think I might add to my game is this Overwatch All/Others mod. Really handy. Does exactly what it says on the tin. If you hit the Overwatch All button, all your characters will go into Overwatch mode. If you hit the Overwatch Others button, which isn't really demonstrated over here, then it will set all other characters on Overwatch. Great for setting up an ambush. Very, very, very convenient for that. Already, I've done a couple of videos where I was like, you know what, I could really use that Overwatch All, or rather Overwatch Other button. So if you're interested in that, you may want to look into it. I'm going to leave it off because I'm just worried there's going to be times when I'm going to hit that button and then realize that Overwatch someone I wasn't supposed to. So I'm avoiding it just to prevent a mistake, basically, on my part. But a lot of people have recommended this mod, so you might want to check these. Overwatch All/Others. And Evac All, very, very popular. In fact, there's probably people down in the comments that have already suggested throwing those in there. So certainly, but again, if you do have any other recommendations, please, please, please let me know. I would be really interested in hearing your opinion. You can always tweet at me as well if the YouTube comments are not your sort of thing. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.